Nice to see you all. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I had a great time watching you dance and sing and play music after the presentations on Saturday, so it was really awesome. So I know that you're not as quiet as you might appear, but thank you so much for asking me to come and speak to you today. So I thought, given my background is dietetics, and I thought I would talk a little bit about some lifestyle things. Ritu had asked me to include some of those kinds of topics in my discussion this morning, in my presentation. But I also thought that I would do some reflecting as well. So Dan and I have been reflecting a lot over the last week or so, which is always very worthwhile, because those are pearls in life that are more precious than anything when you can reflect and kind of encapsulate what's important in life. Because I've been in my profession for over 30 years, and I look out and think, many of you aren't 30 yet. So anyways, I won't belabor that point. So talking about the choices you make that matter, and it's funny, it's so easy, it's easy to go through life from day to day. I think we make hundreds of decisions, many unconscious decisions that we make in life from day to day that sometimes we don't even realize. But the choices we make really do matter. And so starting off on the lifestyle and life side of things, we have, I'm getting older, I need some small print. So it's important to think about what's in your control. And when we talk about life and your lifespan. And so to start with, there's some lifestyle factors in your control. And certainly some are easier to manage than others, but it's important to be aware of these factors, and at a young age have them work for you. So not smoking, being active and sitting less, eating healthy, managing alcohol, managing stress, sleeping enough, connecting with others, vaccination. These are all things that can work in your favor. Like I say, some are easier to manage than others, but certainly it's important to be aware of these factors. And so when I think of the human body, and I'm sure that all of you have taken physiology, probably biology, I think of our body as a complex and intricate machine. And so I like to say, don't mess with the machine. We've got one body, and look after it, treat it right. And so what I know for sure is that every cell in your body needs nutrients, all the nutrients every day, to help you be the best you, to function at the top of your game. We as biological beings have internal survival mechanisms. And so when you're young and you might want to party late, or not sleep enough, or maybe have an extra something to drink or whatnot, when you're young you can bounce back easier on the survival side of things, but as you get older, you may not bounce back quite as easily, so keep that in mind. Also, your body was meant to move. It's something that's so basic, but more and more people are sitting more and more and not moving around as much. And then daily renewal. We need our enough sleep. After lots of partying on the weekend, we may not have had enough sleep. It's Monday morning, but we need to keep that renewal and have enough sleep. So we are all like the fruits and vegetables in our home, that you are a perishable item, so live accordingly. So pearls about food and nutrition that I thought I would just put in here is that food has the potential to prevent. And science has shown us that food can help prevent chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. The diet choices we make can help lower the risk of some major diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, dementia, and certain types of cancer. And the basis of it all is a healthy diet that includes vegetables and fruit, whole grains, healthy fats, quality protein, and minimal ultra-processed food. Again, easier said than done, but it's important to be aware of that. So at the end of the day, keep in mind that your body is your temple. So on to some life lessons that I've learned that I thought would be pearls that were meaningful to me that I pass on to you. Some have been discussed already, but we'll have a different spin on some of them. But some principles don't change. So what's important to you? Dan talked about this a little bit earlier. It's important to know what's important to you, not what your dad wants you to do, or your mom wants you to do, or your auntie wants you to do. What's important to you? Because you have one life to live, and you want to live that life doing things that you love, and you'll flourish doing that. The other thing I know for sure, and we all know, is change is a constant, and Dan talked about that as well. And what I think is magical about change, especially when you're young, or even when you're less young, like me, is that you can still, we're all changing whether we like it or not. And I think today in this room, all of us can look back last year and think of what was different, how was I different, what's something significant that happened in my life that was different than it is now. And so when you decide what's important to you and use this change that's already happening anyways, it's to move in the direction that you want to move into. And Dan talked a little bit about that, but it's such a powerful concept. And so in the field of nutrition, as one example, I've encouraged people to work on what we call behavior modification. So changing little things, just one little thing, and work on it for a number of weeks in a row. And in a whole year, 52 weeks, if you make one change, even a little change, every 3 weeks, at the end of the year, you have 17 changes, which, little by little, a little adds up to be a lot. And when I think in terms of my career, or, people I know, anybody's career, Dan's career, when it's funny, a year adds up and this turns into that, and this other thing turns into something else. And when you know what's important and you work on change, it really, you can really turn into what you want to do and be in life, grasping onto that concept. The other thing in life is there are some finite resources. So time, Dan talked about time, energy is another one, and money is another one. And so time, it's so easy, there's so many things in life that compete for our time. And, whether, there's so many apps, you can sit on social media, oh, what's new with my friends and family, how many likes do I have on this post that I made, why did my auntie not like mine, and they like that one, and you can make yourself nuts following Twitter or Instagram and all of this kind of thing. So it's easy to have the time in your day eaten up. And so try to be mindful of your time. And so for you and for all of us, time is on our side, but especially when you're younger. So don't waste it, or do all you can not to waste time. And energy is another. We only have 24 hours in a day, and so much energy to devote to what we need and want to do every day. And so learning to avoid things that take energy out of us, whether it's dealing with negative people or whatnot, but keep in mind we have a finite amount of energy, and foster that energy and use it in a direction that's as productive for you as possible. And then money, just like your time, there's so many things competing for your rupee. When we drove from the airport, there's so many signs: buy this, do that. On Twitter, this famous Hollywood star is selling, this face cream, or those shoes, or these jeans, or whatever. And so it's money is one of those things when you're young. If you calculate all the money you earn in your entire lifespan, if you manage your money and learn how to manage your money, or when you do this, you can get the most out of your life. So it doesn't run you, you run your life. I'll leave it there on that one. So being an active participant, again, Dan talked a little bit about, kind of being in charge, instead of letting life just happen. I think we all know certain people that life just goes by and la 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 la, which is fine, but you guys are here for a reason. I think you've got really amazing potential and goals and things you want to do in your career, and being an active participant and taking charge will certainly help. About attitude. Are you the type of person that your glass is half full, or is your glass half empty? On a cloudy day and a rainy day, the sky is filled, with clouds and rain, but the sun is up there above the clouds. After a rainfall, there'll be a rainbow. So there's always a bright side to a day, even if it isn't a perfect day. It doesn't always need the picture perfect sun shining, because you could make the sun shine yourself. And being around people who are positive certainly helps that. And that's my next slide. I know in my career, I think of some times when I was younger, some colleagues who were very positive people and upbeat and supportive, and other ones who complain all the time. They drain your energy. God love them, but it's like, I realized that I needed to stay away from, if I could, really negative people, because it just brings you down. And when you have a limited amount of energy and you want to, jump in and be enthusiastic, you want to be with other people that keeps that spark, that keeps that light lit. The other thing, there's so many trends, and I find with the internet, not that I want to sound like a downer, but trends and popularity, these things are so highly overrated. Following the path of others, or just having what other people have, or doing what other people do, you decide what's right for you to do. And what you'll find in your life is people will respect you more when you're being your genuine self, than if you're not, if you're being phony, if you're doing something that isn't what you're all about. So keep that in mind, because there's peer pressure and that sort of thing, and just to be aware of it and try not to get drawn into all of the crazy trends that are happening out there. And so our world is a wonderful place to explore. And, you know, see Exhibit A, we're here from Canada with you guys, and which is such a pleasure and an honor. But the world it's wonderful to learn from other people, to get out of your comfort zone. If you're given an opportunity to travel, do it. It might be scary if you're given a job in another region or another town. Often it could be a scary proposition, but what you'll learn is it's so enriching. And in life, it's an education unto itself, traveling, learning about people and customs and the similarities we all have. So it's funny, I put this slide in, be bold, and then on Saturday night, I saw you all being very bold. So from dancing and singing and whether you were presenting and all the wonderful things that you guys did at the cultural celebration. But in life, and in your own profession, sometimes there's that pressure with your team. If you have an idea, a unique idea, don't be shy. That's how change happens. That's how you can move the needle of your profession. You can, and that's how innovation happens, by being bold and being brave enough to say it and to do it. The other thing is to challenge yourself. It's challenging yourself feels uncomfortable a lot of the times. And so when I reflect on challenges I put on myself, when I was a younger student, I was afraid to present. I was afraid to get up and talk like I'm doing right now. And I remember I would do anything. If I was in a group project, I'd say, oh, I'll do extra work so I didn't have to present. And when I went through nutrition, I knew I had to overcome this fear that I had. And so it was a challenge, so I challenged myself. I wanted to learn how to write better. And so I started a newsletter, and I thought, I'm the worst writer in the world, but I don't care. I want to learn how to write. And so I put myself in a position to do that, because I didn't want to embarrass myself with my own colleagues. But there's many things when I think about my own profession, because I've done clinical care, business development, what was the other, advocacy with the government, evidence-based advocacy, communications, all of this kind of stuff, and all very different roles. And so it made me step out of comfort zones to be able to do those roles. I never planned to, like Dan had said, I never planned to do that. I always had a clinical heart, and I still do. But by challenging yourself, you realize there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you learn in your profession. And in nutrition, who would think that you can do 5 different kinds of professions in one lifetime? But you can do that if you want to do those sorts of things. Similar to what Dan mentioned is about finding role models. And they don't need to be in your profession. Heavens, you've got so many amazing role models here, for sure. But it's important to identify, you know, what qualities in people, whoever they are, that you admire and that you want to adopt for yourself. But also in my life, I had negative role models, you know, bosses that weren't very nice or whatever, and I looked at that as what I don't want to be. So I knew what I want to be. You know, here's a number of people that I think the world of, from grandparents to professionals to humanitarians, that sort of thing, but also what I didn't want to be like. Just because you're, especially for females in a senior role, you don't need to be a male. You can still be a female and be a leader. And it's important to adopt what is important to you. And then down the road, when you're an established professional, you can be a role model to others. So you can let your light shine for others and be that beacon that people look toward. And and as people now, you are, whether it's to other people you know, or cousins you might have, or whatever. But I think in life, that's what's great about life, are the relationships from friends or family that we can help others. And so, in closing, it's important, I guess, I can encapsulate what I was talking about by being mindful, staying aware. You want to create the future that you dream about intentionally. And so you do that through being aware of time and change, through self-reflection, and intentionally move in a direction that you want to, because you've got one life to live, and you want to be the best for you, to make a difference in the world, and be your own light to other people. Okay then, thank you so much.